Hey, everybody. It's Brad.
And Christa.
Sorry.
No.
Did I cut off your hey?
No, I was cutting you off. And so
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hope you're having an awesome day.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a lot of you guys have asked what is the primary or what are the primary differences between dehydrated and freeze-dried food. So, we thought we would come and clear the air and tell you. Okay, because this will not be a Thrive Life commercial, even though we sell Thrive Life.
Right.
There is a link below, so I guess it's a micro commercial. Just
That's it.
That was it.
Over.
Done. Okay, freeze-dried versus dehydrated.
Yep.
Dehydrated, let's start with dehydrated.
Okay.
Dehydrated is a lot more affordable
Yes.
to do at home. All you need is some special equipment, but not that expensive.
Not very expensive at all. I mean, it could be between $40 and $300 for a dehydrator, depending on
Excalibur.
Yeah, depending on which one you want to get. That's a pretty low buy-in
Entry fee,
I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some foods you can dehydrate and some foods you should really not. Meats.
Why should you not dehydrate
Well,
meats?
you can make them into jerky, but if you're thinking long term, nah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, you could make jerky easy with. I mean, we've
That's
done
how you
it.
make jerky.
That's how you make jerky. That we've done that, and it's really good.
I'm just saying, like, if you're thinking 5 years plus, no, don't do it. There's fats in there that go rancid.
Yeah.
And so dehydrating is great for things like anything out of the garden.
Yeah.
Just about, I've seen people even dehydrate watermelon, which that's kind of funny. It becomes really small, but it's like candy.
Yeah, those sugars are super concentrated. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that, and let's talk about, long-term storable food. It's not really the best for dehydrating. You can put stuff like what we'll do is you can dehydrate things and then vacuum seal them. That'll buy you some time.
Right.
But it's not the same thing as freeze-dried, and we're going to talk about that. But freeze-dried can go a long time.
Oh, yeah. Long
25,
time.
30 years.
Right. Oh, easy. I mean, if you dehydrate your vegetables from your garden, you're going to get 5, maybe. Yeah, you're going to get 5 years about.
And I would recommend you air seal it somehow, whether it's in a jar.
I would recommend the jar, not plastic. I would recommend definitely a jar, and put it in a cool, dry, dark place, and it'll last longer.
True. Okay, freeze-dried versus dehydrated. Okay, dehydrated. Stay on track, Brad. All right.
Right, on track.
When you're talking about the health difference, the nutritional difference, freeze-dried beats by a lot.
Huge margin.
About if you freeze dry food and it's done fresh really fast, it retains about 97% of its nutritional content versus dehydrated, which is 60.
That's amazing, honestly. That is a huge difference.
I mean, think about that. You're going to have to eat almost double with dehydrated to get the same amount of nutrients.
Yeah, exactly. That's a huge difference, and that for me, that's not a win. That's not a win. For me.
We do dehydrate stuff,
yes,
but it's like tomatoes, sun-dried tomatoes, stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll do jerky once in a while. We'll make fruit leather for the kids, and that doesn't last but days.
Yeah, no, it's so might as well.
Yeah, it's just gone.
The other thing, the reason for that difference, guys, is the way the process works. If you're dehydrating, what you're doing is you're literally using heat and an airflow to reduce the moisture in the food content.
Right.
That's what's happening.
Right.
With freeze drying, it's different because it goes down to a very, very, very low temperature while a vacuum is applied, and that is sucking all the moisture out of it while it's going into a very, very, very low frozen state.
Right.
Then when it comes back to room temperature, you can vacuum seal it.
Right. Right. So the moisture that's being removed in dehydrating is 80 to 90% of the moisture. So you still have 10 to 20% of the moisture left in the food, which doesn't allow it to last nearly as long on your shelf. Now, when you're freeze drying it, 98 to 99% of the moisture is gone. That's a huge difference.
And that's why you can keep it so
much
long in
longer.
a vacuum.
Yeah.
Now, another thing to consider too is the cost of the machine. If you decide that you want to do this at home instead of buying freeze-dried food, like we actually made the decision not to get a freeze dryer.
Right.
Harvest Right even reached out to our channel and
3
said,
times?
yeah, they're like, hey, don't you want to promote this? I'm like, well, I kind of do, but for us, financially, it's better to go with Thrive Life freeze-dried food.
Right.
So, but the cost is not just in the machine. The cost is in the maintenance. And when you consider, well, we've got a friend over at the Empty Hammock channel, and they did a very great, a very exhaustive video on the Harvest Right machine, what it is, what it does, and they were fair. But you got to keep in mind, if you're going to do the maintenance, you've got to get behind the machine. You're going to have to change oil. And for it to run, it usually takes a whole day.
Whole lot of power too.
That's it.
Yeah. We weighed out the cost, and it was not cost effective for us. And honestly, we could not grow enough for the size of our family to make it cost effective. I mean, because those machines are...
The chambers are only like
they're
this
really
big.
small.
They're like that big.
Yeah, you can only do, I think, maybe 10 pounds, 10 to 15 pounds at a time. I haven't looked at their specs recently. But yeah, for us, it would take a whole heck of a lot, and it would be running constantly.
So with buying your own machine, you've got the cost of the machine, cost of maintenance, cost of the electricity, because I think it's something like 1,000 watts, and it runs all day to do, I mean, literally, like, I think he said it was like 18 hours.
Yeah.
For it to run to make one size of...
a couple of pounds of freeze-dried food.
Right.
Yeah. So honestly, it was not worth it for us.
It is for some people.
Some people, yeah.
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 I mean, especially people on special diets or you just really like something.
Right.
Go for it.
Right.
You know, I think it's important, though, that we make a distinction right now that we're not talking about like the bagged up gloop food.
Oh,
not
no.
Patriot Pantry stuff. Not
that
kind
that's
of
not
stuff.
Freeze dried, is it?
No, that's what I'm saying. There's a big difference between dehydrated, freeze dried, and then the bagged up gloop.
Yeah.
It's different.
We're talking about single ingredient items.
Right.
Not this thing you just add water to.
MSG and salt and...
Yeah, we've not been those kind of...
Well, they sent us, Patriot Pantry sent us a long time ago, years ago. Their like 1 year stack of tubs. And I got to be honest, the tubs were cool. It was nice that you could stick them under the bed.
Yeah.
And
forget about it.
Forget about it. It's right there. And if things get tough, I guarantee you're going to eat it and be thankful.
Oh, right.
But if you have the choice now, for us, it's not even a choice.
No.
Yeah. So other things that you really need to consider too is how the food's going to taste, because there's a big difference between dehydrated and freeze-dried.
Oh, yeah.
With freeze-dried, you're going to have a whole lot more flavor. And when you rehydrate it, if you choose to rehydrate it, you can actually eat it just the way it is.
You can just eat it the way it is. It's not... So imagine the corn. Now, we've dehydrated corn before, and it comes back to you when it's done almost as... Well, probably just about as hard as popcorn before it's popped. And then you got freeze-dried. Now, that's dehydrated. You got the freeze-dried corn, and it is soft. It's wonderful.
You can eat it like candy.
You can eat it like candy. I love just taking a handful of them and put it in a bowl and just eat them slowly.
Well, right now we're on a
no,
diet,
we're not. I'm not eating any corn right now anyway. But yeah, it's like the asparagus and the green beans and all of the. They're delicious right out of the can.
Well,
you can't do that with dehydrated.
It'll chip your teeth.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. And, honestly, when you want to rehydrate these things, rehydrating freeze-dried only takes about 5 minutes, where
20 to 30.
Dehydrated, it's 10, 20, 30 minutes, depending on what it is.
Well, yeah.
And then it may not really ever rehydrate
Sometimes
properly.
things get really chewy. And there's another thing to consider, too, is the flavor. The flavor when you dehydrate changes. I don't even know how to describe it because each food is different.
Yeah.
But when you've got freeze dried, it's basically the same exact flavor, maybe even a little bolder, until, like, it's hard to describe. Let's say that you bite a blueberry or a strawberry.
So good.
You pop the strawberry in your mouth. At first, you're like, this is kind of weird, what's in my mouth. But then when the moisture from your mouth hits it, it's like, bam, flavor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's no comparison in my mind.
Yeah, well, there is. That's what we're...
Well, there is. I'm saying for us, hands down, I'm going to go with freeze-dried every time.
Right.
Dehydrated. I know a lot of people like dehydrated. That is your choice.
And good.
Yeah.
Good.
Now that we've had freeze-dried, I'll never go back.
Well, as long as we got it.
Well, as long as we got it. Exactly. Right.
Well, and okay, then I will say a plus for dehydrating is you can just go to the grocery store and pick up whatever's on sale. That's kind of nice.
Right. Right. You can do that. You can, if you have a freeze dryer, you can do that too.
But then it's spendy.
Then it's pretty spendy. I mean, when we were starting out with preparedness, we would go to GFS and buy a
Which
number
is a bulk
10.
food place.
Yeah, it's a restaurant supply store. We'd buy a number 10 can of peaches or pineapple or corn or green beans, and we dehydrate them.
Yep.
So, but I will never do that again. It just doesn't taste right.
Yeah. I mean, we've dehydrated a lot of things, even spaghetti, like spaghetti with sauce.
I was going to say, it's already dried.
Yeah, no, spaghetti with sauce.
Yeah.
And that turned out pretty good. Done eggs, like powdered egg or liquid eggs to powdered.
Yeah.
And that works okay, but I don't think I would trust it past 2 years.
If that. Yeah, I don't.
Because it's definitely got a weird texture, too.
It's definitely got a weird texture. I would just assume water glass eggs, and they'll last 2 years. But you got to have the jars for that.
Yeah. So cost, I mean, if you're going to buy the machine, it's expensive. It's like, $2,500 to $3,500.
Right.
Whereas if you're buying freeze-dried food, yeah, you're paying a little bit of a premium, but you're paying so that you don't have to own the machine and all that.
Right.
But then again, now the premium's not such a premium anymore, is it?
No.
Nope.
It's really not.
Because the inflation cost has gone crazy.
Yep.
It's kind of funny, though, when you think about a machine, a Harvest Right machine. And I'm not knocking them.
No,
but
not
it's
at
just, you got to think about it like this. When people say, oh, you should just get an electric car. Okay, well, let's think this through. So first of all, there's the cost of the electric car. Not cheap. Then they say, well, then you just plug it into your house and you charge it like that.
Oh, sure.
Okay, well, plug it into the wall. Well, then I still have to pay for all that electricity. So I'm still paying. And then they say, well,
it's still a smaller portion, but you're still paying.
Well, and it's really funny because people forget, they'll say, oh, you should do it for the earth. Okay, well, let's think this through. How does electricity get to you? It comes through the same lines that your power does from your house. Well, how do they make that electricity? Most of the country is still on coal-fired plants. So if you're thinking it's great for the environment, think of all that lithium that's in the battery that you're going to throw away. Where does that go? Right back into your food chain because it's going to leak into the ground.
That's right.
Got to think it through.
Yeah, having an electric car would be amazing, for us out here because it's 20 miles to town, but you still got to
pay for the
electricity.
electricity.
Still got to pay for the electricity.
And somebody's got to make the electricity. That means somebody's got to dig that coal out of the ground, which means they got to use these gigantic diesel machines to do that.
Right. Right.
or nuclear.
Ooh.
Either way, it's going to cost.
Right.
Anyway, so you just got to think these things through. It's not just like, poof, I have this freeze dryer and
Now what?
That's great. Well, there's a lot to it.
It's just going to start popping out, cans of freeze-dried food for you.
There's a hand that comes out, like in the Addams Family.
There you go.
It's a can of whatever. Peas. Thanks.
It's awesome.
So anyway, I hope that has helped you guys kind of figure out what is the best for you.
Right.
Because we actually do mostly freeze-dried, but it's a little of everything.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So I got to find the button. I'm Brad.
I'm Christa.
You guys have an amazing and blessed day.